I'm going to come back to Chris and I'm going to bring him in with another question, but just quickly, Sarah, we've got a question from Anonymous about how financial service, the interaction between the retained EU law bill and the Financial Services and Markets Bill. So is financial services at all dealt with in the retained EU law bill, or did it get a sort of blanket exemption when Rishi Sunak was Chancellor?
Yeah, so financial services gives us really a case of how this might be approached differently. So to all intents and purposes, financial services essentially has a carve-out from the retained EU law bill. And instead it has the Financial Finance and Markets Bill. What's interesting is that actually is trying to do something quite similar. So it is aimed at providing for removing some elements of EU retained law, as well as making changes to regulate financial services in ways that the government feels will be better tailored to the specific needs of UK financial services and outside of the EU. I think what people would say is one of the big advantages of the Finance and Markets Bill is that it gives Parliament more opportunity to review legislation on its merit, to debate what the proposed changes are and what might be the best way forward. And we've seen in the Finance and Markets Bill some evidence of proposals which were floated, which haven't made it into the bill as it currently stands. So there was quite a big debate around financial services, around whether ministers should have call-in powers to financial regulators, to be able to call in regulators and essentially check if regulatory decisions were working in ways that facilitated a competitiveness. Now, clearly, given the 2007-8 financial crisis, but also recent ructions in financial markets, in pension funds and with Silicon Valley Bank just in the past 6 months, there's quite a bit of anxiety around what is the balance between kind of risk in financial markets to facilitate competitiveness and consumer and business protections. So although these calls for call-in powers were mooted, they're not actually being carried forward. I think as well, financial services gives us a really clear idea of what really careful scrutiny of regulation looks like and how long it takes. So, the Treasury consulted on the future regulatory framework review for financial services twice, starting in October 2020. And the bill is currently going through now. It's at the report stage, in the Lords, as I understand.
And Chris, I know you want to come in, but I just want to add a bit on that. I mean, Sarah's set out the advantage of doing things through primary legislation rather than the sort of secondary powers. Obviously, the volume of work you can get through is an advantage, and the speed is the secondary powers, because clearly someone had to get legislative time for a financial services markets bill. So what's there?